it's like a strong community base, but I feel like since you grew up around such a heavy community, like community focused group of people, you actually tend to value yourself less.
Ooh,
And then, yeah,
tea. Everyone makes friends differently, and when making friends, everyone has different values.
hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Casual Kura. My name is Richa.
And I'm Vishali.
And Casual Kura is a podcast where we casually talk about our life experiences as Nepali American women.
Yes. So, welcome back to another episode. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about something that has been on both of our minds, and that is the conversation of community. And we specifically wanted to talk about this because we feel as though community is such an important part of
It
what being
is.
alive and being a human is, and we wanted to bring it into the space and talk about our relationship with community, what community is to the both of us, and why it is so damn important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, to start things off, as we usually do, what is community to you?
Yeah. I think it has changed over time, but now I feel like community for me is kind and supporting group of people
Mm-hmm.
who I share common interests or values with. So that's like my that's what community means to me right now. And I especially seek out groups where I can find like-minded people
Mm-hmm.
and constantly grow, learn, and gain new perspectives.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a perfect way to put it. And I think that's why we're friends because community to me is also very, if not the same thing, it's a group of people where you feel safe and secure. And to me, it's synonymous with home. You know,
Hmm.
it's that those people that you can fall back on and they're always there for you. And they're just there to love and support you, and you as well love and support them. And I think community in itself is a feeling,
Hmm.
as much as it is a tangible group
Yeah.
that you can
Yeah.
go
So
to.
agree.
Yeah. So I think, growing up, at least for me, when I thought about community, it wasn't really a word that I fully understood until my late years, if not recently. So for you, what was community like as you were a child? Like what did that look like? Cuz
Yeah. So, like, my younger days was in Nepal,
uh-huh.
and now I'm like reflecting on how I felt about community back then,
Mhm.
because I think as kid we don't think about such topics,
Yeah.
and thinking like in Nepal there's a very very strong sense of community, and I think I was always surrounded by it.
Yeah.
Um, and I take it this way: it's like a strong community base, but I feel like since you grew up around such a heavy community, like community focused group of people, you actually tend to value yourself less.
Ooh,
And then, yeah, and
tea.
then like it becomes as you are living for this community, and like you don't
Mm.
have sense of self. And I think that's what I sensed, or like that's how my relationship has been like growing up.
Yeah.
And of course this is like me looking back and reflecting, this is how I see it. um but yeah, like growing up in Nepal, community is like very very big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually wow, that's really great that you mentioned that because I feel like as someone who grew up here in America, I don't think I experienced that same form of community.
Hmm.
And obviously, I see it when I talk to my family members, and from what I remember when I did visit Nepal when I was younger, everyone is so close there. And I do agree with you. I think that when you are that close knit, the boundaries between what you want gets
Hmm.
really muddled with what
Yeah.
the rest of the community wants. So that's a very
Yeah.
interesting way to introduce community in your childhood. I don't know, because I feel like for me, growing up, I always had that space where I was like, okay, this is what I want. you
I
know?
never
And
I never had that.
I guess
That's
that's
like
so.
not in the radar. I think you're just too busy thinking about how to fit in. Like
Oh,
that's like
tea.
so big in your head that
Fit in with
like
your like family?
fit in with your family, with the society.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's like a
wow.
huge priority and I think that stayed with me even after I came here.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
so interesting because I feel like growing up, I was also concerned about fitting in. I feel like a lot of people are concerned about
Concerned,
fitting
yeah.
in. I suppose the context is slightly different because I think with me, I don't know if you feel the same way, but with me growing up, my community was very small. So it would be, my immediate family.
Mhm.
So especially my mom and my sister, like we were super close. So that was like my safe spot and then like the few friends that I had and that was my community. And I wasn't really concerned about fitting in within that space. I think I was more concerned about fitting in with the outer space outside of that. So like the people
Yeah.
that I met at school and things like that. So when
Mhm.
you talk about fitting in do you mean within even your own.
Yeah, so actually I grew up with my family and only like few years and remember I was in a hostel.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
so
god.
so I had to worry about a lot. Like I think in first grade I like literally have to go to a boarding school and I started living there basically. So
Wow.
yeah, fitting in was like kind of survival for me and I think it's
Yeah.
ingrained. So I think even growing up coming here, it took a long time for me to like come to a senses that like what was going on and like and looking towards me and looking within like because it was very hard to figure out why am I feeling all of this thing and then like I think it came
Mm.
very late like maybe college or after like end of college year like I like started to like there was this heavy feeling going inside and
What
I didn't
describe
know
that feeling? I'm curious. Now I want to know.
I didn't know what was going on. I know it was just like lack of self-esteem and
Uh-huh.
I think I was just like looking for outward validation all the time
Yeah,
and
I
like
get it.
and it was not easy because you get disappointed all the time and then you have this I don't know this like sad feeling
Yeah.
rotation and on and on and on
Yeah.
and like coming to a realization that the answer would be to look in and like it's okay like since like you haven't like really discovered about yourself
Yeah.
but now could be a start and then you can really start looking within
Yeah.
and then like having compassion kindness for myself and all of that like I think it started like maybe like a late college and after like
Wow.
really college yeah.
That I'm so happy that you brought that up because I think that that's so important that you know that now because I think you know I feel the same way. Like I feel like I also had a period of time where I was very unhappy with my
Mm-hmm.
life and for some reason that was like in middle school. When I was like elementary middle school I was in the friggin' trenches.
Uh-huh.
Um and I don't know, I feel like when you're young or when I was young, I didn't really understand what the word community was. Like to me it was like, okay, I come home to my parents and then I have my like two friends from school and
Mm-hmm.
that made me happy, of course, but outside of that, I wasn't really like, woohoo is my community? How am I going to find my community? So I think that I'm on the same almost trajectory as you because
Uh-huh.
I started to understand the gravity of community when I was also in college. And I think that, like, since we're on the topic of college and school and such like that, when you're in those spaces, I think it's so much easier almost to find a group of people that you can call your community because I
Mm-hmm.
think that at least the way that I think about it, it's like when you are in school, you are surrounded by people who, not all of them are like-minded, but you have something in common, which is
Yeah, exactly.
is you're in either the same grade or you're around the same age and the same generation almost, so it's easier
Mm-hmm.
to connect with people. But even then I understand like there were periods of my life when I was in school that I was tremendously lonely even though there were people around me.
Yeah.
And I think when we talk about community, it's just something that's almost ever changing and like it's something that has to be grounded, like
Yeah.
like it's just important for the people around you for you to feel loved by them, I
Yeah.
think. And I think that like based on what you said about your experience feeling upset and my experience, like that wasn't there during
Mhm.
like periods of our lives.
Mhm. Mhm.
So those it was definitely difficult, but 100%.
It was. Was there a difference for you, like, from like in school, like high school and middle school to like college? Because I feel like it was very different for me.
In terms of like
Like
how I felt
about
and community,
community. Yeah.
100%, girl. Like, I think when I was in elementary and middle school, I had no sense of community. Like, I, I had like literally like two close friends.
Hmm.
And once again, like, I didn't understand what community was. Like, I didn't understand the value that
Yeah.
community had. And I was very close to my family, especially my mom. So to me, like, that was like my person.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think that transitioned when I was in high school. Because when I was in high school, I started to come out of my shell more, and so I was more comfortable talking to people, even, like, getting into new activities, like after-school programs, clubs, which honestly, I didn't even realize how important it is for you as a person to, like, engage in activities outside of school until high school, where I was like, "Wait, I'm actually enjoying this, like, extra time that I'm spending that's not at
Hmm.
home."
Hmm.
And I think during high school, that was when I was like, okay, like I try. It was like the idea of community started to be more solidified and started to gain more importance in my life.
Importance.
Specifically because during high school, I was part of this program called Brotherhood Sister Soul. If you know it, you know it. But it was basically an after school program that focused on youth and specifically building relationships and building community with youth. And so
Hmm.
every Thursday, I believe, after school, I would meet up with other girls specifically because I was part of Sister Soul because I'm a woman. And we would meet after school and we would sit around and we would have what we call chapter leaders and we would just talk. Like, we just would talk about our lives. We would talk about school. And it was very driven on women empowerment, which I think
Uh-huh.
is what started my whole like adoration for gender politics and
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
feminism and things like that. And we would sit and we would talk about what it means to be a powerful woman of color. How can we, as women of color, within our communities, grow to be stronger? And I went to school in East Harlem, by the way,
Uh-huh.
and so the community surrounding the school was not. It was transparently, it was a low income community. It
Hmm.
had a lot of people of color, and that program was meant to help people feel supported within that space.
Wow.
And so that was my first sense of community. I mean, like
Wow.
going after school and talking with other women
Hmm.
who had very similar experiences, who looked like me. It was just a nice space and I felt very comforted. And I think, transitioning from that to the next level of education, which is college,
College.
it was hard. And I think especially the beginning of college was difficult because I didn't have that sense of community anymore. I mean, if we're getting really deep, I went to a PWI and it was just like people. I felt like I couldn't relate with the people that were in my classes. And so it was
Hmm.
difficult to build that foundation from the get go. Eventually I got my footing on the ground and went out to clubs, went out to talk to people. And so I eventually did find my community then. But it was still difficult. And then after I graduated and, moved back to the city, that was when I started to really understand the importance of community
Community.
because whatever friendships and relationships I had while I was in school, obviously they weren't lost, but when you go to school out of state or like you live on campus, you have friends who live in California or
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
Boston or like places that aren't as close by. And so things become a little scattered. And that was also the time that I started reading Bell Hooks, and her whole thing is love and community. And so I was like, wait a minute, she might be onto something. Like, she's so right and real, and community is important. And
Hmm.
so now, as someone who's in her early 20s, I'm yearning to build that again,
Hmm.
that community. Yeah.
That's
Anyways, yeah.
beautiful. I mean, that's so lovely. Like the community that you shared in high school and such an
Yeah.
impact you had. Like
It was,
seeing
yeah.
it was very empowering and
Yeah.
powerful.
How about you?
Um, for me, like high school, I feel like high schools are like very, it's designed in a way that it's easier to socialize with people. I feel like
Yeah.
college is built in a different like kind
Yeah.
of thing. So I actually felt like even though I was like coming from a different country, I actually felt a sense of community because like I was in this ESL kind of group, and then I had like other people who also came from different
That's
countries.
great.
Yeah, so like easing into the high school in US was actually a very good
That's great.
experience for me.
Yeah.
And later in the college, I joined like a club where because I was focusing into going into architecture, so there were like bridge building like groups,
Okay.
yeah, and then yeah,
Period.
and then I found like very close group of friends within those clubs and in classes. So like I feel like the community was actually really nice for me, like in high school, but it was very a different story in college because I completely felt isolated, and I was hoping because you went to a university, I thought your experience was going to be something different,
Yeah.
but your also is very similar because I feel
Mhm.
like in college you're kind of left alone to do whatever you
Yeah,
want.
that yeah, girl.
Yeah,
I think like stepping into college, I was like, oh, I'm not as good as making friends as I thought I
thought I was.
was.
Yeah,
Like, actually.
because in high schools you're kind of given, you're forced into situations
Yeah.
where
You're
you
also
are.
like in the same building for like
Yeah.
what is it, like 8 hours. So it's just
Uh-huh.
like you're bound to run into someone versus when
Yeah.
you're left alone. And obviously I think your experience in college when you are living on campus and adulthood is very similar because you're kind of just like
Yeah.
you gotta make that first step.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
shit is hard.
Yeah. And I was a very shy person. I would
Real
like
same.
not really speak to anybody. And it was in college, it was even so in like CUNY, like where I went, like in the city, it's like I think the sense of community is even less,
Yeah.
because you literally just have to go to this one class like once a week. So you get to only meet these people like once a week, like for
Yeah.
an hour.
And it also sucks because I didn't go to a CUNY, but my sister went
Uh
to a
huh. Uh
CUNY,
huh.
and it's very much like a commuter situation.
Yeah.
Like people commute to the city to go to school, and then they commute back. There's no like
Mm-hmm.
lingering around.
Yeah, so it's very hard to create friendships or get
Yeah.
involved in communities. And I think I was just like, community was not my priority back
Hmm.
then. I was just so stressed about how do I ace my classes, and
Yeah.
um yeah, and then even in adulthood after getting out of college, like I think community was not in my radar.
Yeah.
I kind of knew when people said it was important. Like college is about figuring out and like meeting new
You
people. I
are
you this
building your career.
advices are were floating around, but like,
Should have
oh,
listened. Should have
listen,
listened.
guys, if you're still in college, in high school, like especially college, I think more than like just taking your classes, it's about building connections.
Yeah, like talk to
Yeah,
people
yeah,
and like join clubs,
yeah. Join
join those
clubs.
after school programs. Like they are so important and
It
not only and
is.
also like they're fun. Like if
Yeah,
you
they're
actually
fun.
like trust me when I was in oh my god, when I was in high school, even at points in college, like I was so like I need to do my schoolwork. I need
Yeah,
to get home.
yeah.
I need to finish my homework. And it's just like I like staying after school was like, oh my god, like I'm gonna get home at like like I was mapping out my time, but trust me, that's how you build experiences and that's how you meet people.
Yeah.
Like one of my like some of my closest friends I've met because I stayed after school. So do it.
Yeah, and I think going through the hardship also builds like a very, because I feel like because I was an architecture student, and
Yeah.
architecture school is like really hard. Like
Oh,
there's like
I've
a lot of
heard.
sleepless nights, and my school didn't have like, because I know like some architecture schools are like 24 hours and you can stay in the studio and work,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't. But like I think later years of my college, I really built like close friendships through like going through architectural program. Yeah, because
Yeah,
it's like really hard and you do
girl.
need the support, or you're gonna like
Yes.
literally fail the class.
Yes.
And actually, like making friends really help you. Like,
They
really,
do.
really help you.
And
Like,
not just in life, like
yeah,
like you what you probably have seen all those like posts on LinkedIn about how important it is to
yeah.
network, da, 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 da.
No,
Like yes, not only in life, but also like for yourself.
Yeah.
Like having friends that you can share your deepest thoughts and like really get vulnerable with is
Mm-hmm.
so important. Like
Important.
for me, and I will never forget. So I was having a conversation with one of my very close friends years ago, and she brought up I don't know if I mentioned it on the podcast before, but she brought up a very important or very like standout point where she said, you know, everyone makes friends differently, and when making friends, everyone has different values in their
Mm-hmm.
friendships. So she was telling me, you know, for her, it's very humor is important. So it's so important that people get her jokes, and it's important that the friends in her life make her laugh. So
Mm-hmm.
humor
Mm-hmm.
to her is her top priority.
Yeah.
And you know, that made me think like, okay, that's what's my top priority. And for me, it's vulnerability. Like the people that I have become closest to in my life have been people that are open and are able to express their feelings.
Uh-huh.
And that to me, like that's how I build my community. You know, how about you?
Mhm. Yeah,
What's
I
your
have like
thing?
never thought about it deeply, but I do resonate with you. Like,
Mhm.
I don't like small talk that much.
Mhm.
Like, and I really want to get deep and
Yeah.
vulnerable.
Yeah.
And with some people, I open up really easily,
Yeah.
and some people I kind of can't. So, and then
Yeah.
that helps me determine, like, oh, okay, do I want to
Yeah.
build further
It's a
relationship with?
vibe.
Yeah, yeah,
Vibe
yeah.
check.
I think it's similar to you,
Yeah.
vulnerability
Yeah.
and like not being afraid
Yeah.
to openly share yourself and then go into those deep and hard nitty gritty
Yeah,
topics. Yeah.
100%. And this happened actually recently. I hung out with one of my friends' girlfriends actually,
Uh
and
huh.
we just like went to Central Park. We had a little picnic, and we're sitting down. And mind you, this is like my first time hanging out with her one on one. And she sits down. She's like, "Yeah, I don't like small talk, so we're gonna get deep. What's your relationship like with your parents?" And I'm sitting there. I'm like, "Oh, and I loved it. I
Love.
loved it. And obviously, like, understand, obviously, like, there are people,
Yeah.
some
Who?
people take
Yeah.
time to
Mm-hmm,
open up.
mm-hmm,
It's not
mm-hmm.
like, listen, man, I'm not asking you to sit across the table from me and immediately start spilling your secrets and guts out. But I like I like people that are open minded and are able to have those conversations and don't immediately like repulse at the thought
Mm-hmm.
of like sharing their fears. It's
Yeah,
like, yeah,
same. I
yeah.
told you like I reconnected with an old friend,
Hmm.
and the first time we like actually got to hang out, like we were crying our eyes out.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
I think that's so important. That natural, that not well, sometimes it's not always natural, but that connection that's there.
Yeah.
And I think
So
that's really important to
beautiful.
like figure out about yourself when you are, you know, going out into the world and finding your community because I think especially when you reach adulthood, it
Mm-hmm.
gets a little bit difficult. Actually, it gets really difficult because as, you know, as someone who's living in New York City, you're living in New York City, finding people, finding new friends, I think can be really,
It,
really difficult unless you
mm-hmm.
really put yourself out there because you're not in this space like you are when you are in school where there's
Yeah.
people that are
Yeah.
almost always accessible, where you can
Mhm.
always say
Mhm.
hi.
Mhm.
It's you're really you got to step out and be on your own.
That is so true.
Yeah. I mean, okay, quick question. Have you ever had friend crushes?
Oh,
Like, okay, so basically this is what
story
I
of
mean.
my
No,
life.
this is what I mean. So, I friend crushes to me, what I mean by this is like people who you meet that you want to be friends with. Not like romantic
Oh, okay,
crushes,
okay, okay.
but like platonic crushes where you
Uh-huh.
see them or you meet them for the first time and you're having a cute casual conversation and you think to yourself, "Oh my god, like I want to be friends with
Friends.
her or them. Like I want to be besties." Has that happened to you?
Mm, I don't think not so deeply.
Oh,
Yeah, not so
really?
deeply. But maybe I was like, oh yeah, maybe we can be friends. Like that comes in my head, but there's
Oh,
not a
okay.
very such intense feeling. Like we
That's
have to be
crazy.
friends. Like,
Oh my
you
god,
know?
no. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I totally get it. The reason I bring this up is
Uh-huh.
because I get friend crushes a lot.
Oh wow.
Like, I feel like when I'm in a social situation and I meet someone and they, you know, we're like vibing and we're
Uh-huh.
connecting, like in my head, I'm like, I would love to be friends with this person.
Oh wow.
And I will reach out. Like, I have no shame. Do you want to get drinks? Do you want to get coffee? Like, what's the vibe? You know?
Yeah. Oh, like adulthood reaching out. That's
Yes, reaching out, putting in that effort.
yeah. Don't be too so hesitant. If you
Yeah.
don't, like, it's not gonna happen. That friendship is never
Oh,
gonna happen.
tea.
Yeah.
That's real. So, since we're on the topic
Of
of how to make friends, should we do our top
Yeah,
three?
sure.
Top
Top
three.
three.
Okay, top three.
Yes, on making friends in adulthood.
And building your community.
Yeah. So I like wrote it down, so I'm gonna
Period.
yeah. So number one for me is to being open to hang out with new people.
Oh, so real, yes.
Yeah, like I know it's hard and you don't want to spend your time like hanging out with new people, but that is how you actually know like if like this person is for you or not
Hmm.
and you want to build that friendship or not. So like being open is very, 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 very
Yeah,
important.
I
Yeah.
agree.
And my next one is booking activities to do, like group activities where you actually get to meet with new people.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know, you're choosing your hobbies. Like, I did jiu-jitsu, like, I did improv.
Hmm.
That's like where I meet like minded people who have similar interests. And hopefully, it could be like, it could build up to a deeper friendship. So, like, yeah, actually putting yourself into situations where you meet new people is very, very important. And I think the third one is the most important because it's investing time. Investing
Yes,
time.
yeah.
I know it's so important because I know like we were like when we were growing up, we're like the time is kind of granted to us and we don't
Hmm.
value as much. But as growing adults, like I know our lives are so busy and it's so easy to ignore friendships.
Mm.
But friendships, like any other thing, you do have to invest
You have
time.
to water
Yeah, you have to
it.
water it, or else it's not gonna grow. So, like, intentionally taking out time to hang out with your friends, maybe once a week, maybe twice a week. Like, yeah, that is like very,
So
very
important.
important. Like, those are like my top
Yeah,
three tips
that's actually
on
perfect
friendship.
and great,
Yeah.
and I agree with all of that. And I
Mm-hmm.
think my top three ways are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
First is definitely to explore new activities and
Mm-hmm.
hobbies. So take that pottery class, go to
Yeah.
that open mic night,
Mm-hmm.
do
Mm-hmm.
things that, take you out of your comfort zone because I feel like it's a great way to meet new people. Um, and then 100%, like, you really do have to spend more time with your friends. And I
Uh-huh.
think that, like, we're talking now about meeting new people and like doing all that. And it's like, yeah, that's important. But it's also important to build a community that you already have. And I think that you're right. When you are an adult, it's so difficult to manage your time. And I think you don't have to plan this extravagant get together if you haven't seen a friend in a long time. Sometimes if you want to run errands together, that's
Yeah,
also
that's the
totally
best way.
fine. Like Target run. Like, moments like that where you can still see each other, especially as you get older and your life does get more busy. I think it's so important. And my last tip on making new friends, I feel like literally talk to strangers.
Talk to strangers.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry.
a
Like, you're gonna have to do it. Talk to strangers. And also, I think, when I think about what stops me from talking to strangers and meeting new people and stuff like that, I'm very fearful that the other person is not gonna like me, or
mm-hmm.
they're gonna be annoyed by
Same.
me and stuff like
Uh-huh.
that.
Uh-huh.
And you know what? Sometimes you just have to trust that it's going to be
Yeah.
okay. Because at the end of the day, if they don't like you, they don't like you.
Yeah.
And I feel like you'll know. And they'll,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like, they'll tell you, like, hey, I don't want to do this.
Mhm.
Like, it's
Mhm.
almost like
Mhm.
dating. Like, finding
Yeah,
friends is
it
almost like
is.
dating. Like,
It
you
is.
just have to put yourself out there.
Yeah, and then take it lightly, like hanging
Right.
out with like a stranger or like somebody you met at a club or something. Like don't take it very like like okay, we like
This
don't
has to
give
be
too
my
much
best
yeah,
friend.
yeah, too much pressure on it. Like just hang out and if it doesn't go well and it's okay, you don't have to ever hang out again. Like now you
Exactly.
know, like there would not be a lingering feeling
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I should have hanged out with that person more." Like
Yeah. Don't
I
take it so
I wonder how
seriously.
our relationship was gonna be like moving
Yeah.
forward. Like you gave it a chance, you hanged out, and
Yeah.
you figured out, so it's not in your
Yeah.
mind anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be fluid with it. I think
Hmm.
is really important. And, if you're someone who is struggling to find their community, just know that it's out there. I think there are people that you will get along with no matter what,
Yeah.
you know?
You will find your people
You will find your
eventually.
people.
Actually, I wanted to ask you one more question.
Yeah.
What kind of communities are you involved in right
Right
now?
now,
Yeah.
that's actually a great question. I think that, like, right now, I am very close with my current friends that I have. Like, when
Uh-huh.
I think about my community right now, I think about it in the terms of the people that I am friends with and that I'm
Mm-hmm.
closest to. I don't really
Mm-hmm.
compartmentalize or
Uh-huh.
put my communities into pockets. It's just people that I just resonate with. So my best friends, my family is also another community, which I didn't realize how important my family was until I started doing the 5 minute journal that I mentioned in the previous episode. Which if you haven't watched it, 5 minute journal, basically you write down everything you're grateful for and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I kept on writing down, like, I'm grateful for spending time with family, or like the things that I'm looking forward to is spending time with my family. And I'm just like, wait a minute, I didn't even realize how important that was to me.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, that's beside the point. So definitely my family and my friends. Um, yeah.
Cool,
How about
cool.
you? I feel like you have like different pockets of
Yeah,
communities.
yeah. For me, it is also very important to build friendship. So that is in me, and also like, cause I'm like currently living with my family.
Mhm.
So like, for family, I think it has to be like my boundaries and like how
Real.
I like. Yeah,
I get
so
it.
family is like the relationship is currently like that, and
Mhm.
friends, like I really am now intentionally giving time to my friends and like growing, yeah, applying
Yes.
my own tips. And I think the other communities are like my jujitsu community is like so like supportive and so, I don't know, it's very nurturing and supporting. So like jujitsu, improv, I've been taking a break, but it's a very good community. Like if you want to ever go to an improv class, people are very
Yeah.
supportive.
I mean,
Like
from
you
what
can,
I
yeah,
saw when I went to her improv show, like they're so fun.
yeah. If you're like very afraid of public speaking,
Take an improv
yeah,
class.
improv class, because people are like, you can literally say anything in the mic and people will like clap and cheer for you.
Yeah,
So
that's, oh my god, I love that. I
yeah.
love that.
And the other thing, wait, I think there was like another thing that oh, the Nepali community here, like our Gurung community
Yeah,
and the
same.
Nepali
Yeah.
community. And that brings me the topic of Facebook groups and how active Facebook groups are. If you
See,
find the right
I
ones,
can't relate to that.
if you
I'm
if
sorry.
you find the right ones, like, cause I know there are like so many Facebook groups that are like kind of dead, like nobody is like actually doing
Yeah.
anything, but the thriving ones are like really like,
I cannot relate to that, girl.
wait,
What?
so there is this Facebook group of this Nepali people in New York, and it's a very thriving Facebook
Really?
group because like literally like people are promoting their businesses and like,
That's
so, and I
great.
also did put an episode of like our in our
Yeah,
episode
yeah.
in the Facebook group, and then we got like so many views, like people are
I love
like
that.
really active, and
Support.
there are like so many like small businesses, like people doing momo from home and like
Yeah.
doing like different food
See,
ventures
that's
from
so
home.
important.
Yeah, so it's like a very thriving community, and I'm so like, when I like really got into the Facebook group, it was like very surprising for me, like, oh, I really never thought like Facebook group could be this active and very like
Wow.
helpful.
Wow.
Yeah, and like
See,
if you like, so
that's
you can
great.
even get like apartments that are like,
Yeah,
yeah, you
yeah.
don't have to go through a real estate agent, and when you need like a
You could just
roommate,
sublet through.
yeah, when you need a roommate that's Nepali, that understands your background and everything, and it's like, hey, right there, like there are like so many members, like, and then it's like a
Wow.
thriving group.
See, I didn't know about that. I didn't
Yeah,
know about
there's
this.
few other like, there is one that's called girls gals who travel, so those are
Wait a
like
minute. What's
traveling women,
Oh,
and it's
okay,
a
okay.
very thriving community, and
Hold on,
like there
Facebook
are,
might hold
yeah,
on. Should I
yeah,
follow back
if
on
you
Facebook?
are not on like thriving Facebook groups, you are missing out, you really have to,
That's so
because
crazy.
in that group, like people, like a lot of girls go solo traveling, and they're like, hey, I'm in Germany for this time to this
Oh, and
time,
then you
coming
guys
out.
can meet up.
Yeah, it's a
I
very
love that.
thriving
You see,
community.
this is what social media is for.
For,
Like,
yeah,
this is great.
yeah, I think those two are like my top ones right now, the
Wow.
Facebook groups, and I'm like in search of like finding these such thriving
That's
communities
actually
in
so
Facebook.
great. And I think that's such a good way to meet new people as
Yeah, it
well.
is.
I mean, obviously be careful, but like
Yeah.
no, this is wow. I didn't know that there was these thriving communities on Facebook.
There are,
That
and I think my friend, she's very into spiritual stuff, and then she showed me, like, I'm not involved in that community, but there is this spiritual leader. I think her name is Tail Swan or something. But people would, like, when she was showing me, like, people would be very vulnerable and like share their like very deep,
wow.
and then they will be in a Facebook group and people would be like shooting a
On there
video of,
like,
yeah,
oh
like,
my
oh, this, like, I
gosh.
journaled on this, and then like like this was my reflection on blah blah blah, and then like it would be a very vulnerable and very deep kind of like thing that you would probably not share on Facebook, but
Wow.
on those groups, like, yeah, it's a, yeah, Facebook group, guys.
Okay. That is so interesting. I didn't I wow. Thank you
Yeah,
for bringing
me
that to
too.
the
I thought
table.
Facebook was like very boomer and like nobody is gonna like is using Facebook,
Apparently,
but group Facebook groups are thriving.
okay, period.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think that's all
Yeah,
for today.
thanks for tuning in and listening about Reach's passion for Facebook groups. Yeah, thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Yeah.
And, you know, we at Casual Kura right now are trying to build our own community.
Yeah.
So, shameless plug, like,
Subscribe,
subscribe, comment,
comment.
you know, do that whole thing. And
Yeah. Share your thoughts on community and what
yes,
kind of communities are you guys involved in right now? Would
exactly.
love to
And
hear.
what's your priority in friendships?
Yeah.
You're
And if
interesting.
you ever apply those tips that we gave you, like, let us
Or
know
if you
how
have
it
tips on your
went.
own, of your
Yeah,
own.
or yeah, drop in your tips on making
Okay.
friendship in adulthood. Yay!
Bye.
Bye everyone. Thank you for watching.